I'm here with Colonel David Hacham.
Exactly.
I got the name right, guys. You have quite a pedigree of all the positions you've held throughout your tenure in the IDF. We know that you were a former advisor of Arab affairs to many defense ministers of Israel. Can you just give us a quick background of all the positions you've served in the IDF?
Well, it will take all the program for you.
Sure, sure.
But in short, as you said, I served like 30 years in the military, in the IDF. And during my period of time in the military service, I served in various positions in the intelligence, in the military intelligence. Later on, I served for almost 4 years in the Israeli Mossad. And afterwards, I served in the research brigade of the intelligence, of the Israeli intelligence, the military intelligence. And then I was called to serve in the Gaza Strip. I spent for almost 8 years in Gaza as an advisor for Palestinian Arab affairs to the commanders of the Southern Command and the commanders of the brigade inside Gaza. And as a matter of fact, that in that period of time of the first Intifada, there was started by surprise, by the way, at the 9th of December, December 9th, 1987, and continued until the beginning of what we call the Oslo process, in the signing of the DOP, Declaration of Principles, the first agreement signed between Israel and the PLO, in the 13th of September 1993. That period of time, I was inside Gaza.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, my office, the place I was in Gaza, was in the heart of the city of Gaza, close to the main road of Gaza, which is called Omar el-Mukhtar. And this was like 8 years, during which I knew all, the main people, the main
leaders of
the Palestinians, beginning from the far left in terms of orientation and going all to the radical Islamic fundamental movement. Now I mentioned maybe 2 names in this regard when I'm speaking about the Islamic organization, fundamental organizations. One is Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. I don't know if the name is familiar to you. I knew him, very closely. I met with him many, maybe hundreds of times.
Wow.
I saw him in his home. He came to my office. I met him more than 20 times when he was taken to jail. He was taken to jail in May 1989. That is to say, like a year and a half after the beginning of the first Intifada. And this was like, really, it's many meetings with Sheikh Yassin in order to understand what was behind, the establishment of Hamas. He was the leader of Hamas. But beforehand, before Hamas was established, Hamas was established, officially at the 14th of December 1987. That is to say, 5 days after the eruption of the first Intifada. But as a matter of fact, Hamas was established on the basis of an existing, organization in Gaza. I don't know if I told you, I published like a couple of years ago a book called Gaza Begova Einaim, Gaza at Eye Level, or Gaza in the Eye of the Storm. And I'm saying in this book, I'm putting all the details and all the process which led to the establishment of Hamas in Gaza. And beforehand, before Hamas, Sheikh Yassin was headed an organization called Al-Mujamma al-Islami, the Islamic Center. This organization was giving, I would say, a clearance from the Israeli Ministry of Defense in 1979, and I called it in my book the original sin, because it was like people didn't see what will come after, Al-Mujamma al-Islami.
They thought it was a lesser evil.
Sorry?
They thought it was a lesser evil. They weren't going to be as
They
difficult
want to
as
make
the others.
to give the Islamists like an opportunity to operate, freely. But it was a big mistake, because the Sheikh Yassin and those Islamists in Gaza used it in order to to deep-rooted their, influence inside Gaza, and to be like an overweight to the power of the PLO, Fatah movement, which is the dominant factor in the organization in the PLO. And this was in the 80s. And of course, I met him many, many times, as I've told you before, even when he was in jail. And I think, you have to understand something about the word, the term Hamas. I don't know if you're familiar. What does it mean, Hamas? Hamas in Arabic means enthusiasm. Zealotness means.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's abbreviations of 3 letters in Arabic. Ha, Mim, Sin. Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, the Islamic resistance movement. Listen carefully. Here, you have to ask yourself immediately when you hear the name, why one word, very much relevant, is missing. And the word is Palestine or Palestinian. You are taking all the names, even the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, Palestinian. Fatah, Harakat al-Tahrir al-Falastini, the Liberation of Palestine movement. PFLP, Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Any other, organization, even the communist, the Palestinian Communist Party. In all the names you have Palestine. Here, in Hamas, you don't find the word, which was very much, real to be part of the name, Palestine. Because you have to understand, the vision of Hamas is not Palestinian-wide. It's not only limited to the area of Palestine. They are looking to the all Islamic, area, like it was after the time of the Prophet Muhammad and the first 4 caliphs, during the empire, the Umayyad Empire, and later on the Abbas Empire. Umayyad Empire, the center was in Damascus. The Abbas Empire, the center in Baghdad. And they are looking for the revival of the caliphate as it was after the time of the Prophet.
So then does the ideology of Hamas come straight from the Quran, in your opinion?
Of course, they are based in the Quran, but not only in the Quran, in the Hadith as well. I must tell you in this regard something very much important. I was the first officer when I was in Gaza to have the covenant of Hamas. Covenant, how do you call it?
Their motto, basically.
No, it's a written document with all the ideology.
Constitution.
The constitution of Hamas. There is another word for it, but in any case, and I read it, 36 provisions. Clear cut and pure ideology vis-a-vis Israel, vis-a-vis the Jews, vis-a-vis Zionism, vis-a-vis the very existence of a Jewish state in Palestine. And there is only one hadith. Hadith are sayings attributed to the Prophet Muhammad. And this saying is speaking about doomsday, when the Muslims will fight against the Jews. And there won't be, and all the Jews will be exterminated, annihilated. And there will be only one Jew left on the surface of the land. And the Muslim is like chasing the last Jew on earth in order to kill him. And he's trying to find him, and he didn't find him. So in this moment, the Lord, Allah, as they call him, will intervene, and he will do that the stone or the tree will open their mouths and said to the Muslim who is chasing after the last Jew on earth. And it goes like this in Arabic. He is saying, Ya Muslim, Ya Abdullah, Waraya Yahudi, Ta'ala faqtulhu. You Muslim, you the servant of the Lord, a Jew is hiding behind me, come and kill him. And this is the only hadith in the covenant, in Hamas ideology, in this paper. And it gives you, this is like the gist, but all the provisions are speaking about annihilation of the Jews. No place for Jewish state here.
This is their end goal.
And they are speaking publicly, overtly, they are saying, we have to establish a Palestinian Islamic state on the ruins of the state of Israel, the Jewish state, within, boundaries, known boundaries, from the sea to the river. This is now the slogan that
from the river to
the people in America are using, and that they don't know what they are speaking about.
Yeah.
The sea to the river, Mediterranean Sea to the Jordan River. That is to say, on the ruins, of the state of Israel, after killing all the Jews. And this is only the first phase in the ideology of Hamas. And later on, as I've told you, revival of the Islamic Caliphate as it was after the time of the Prophet. Now, afterwards, I was 1 year in the National Defense College of the Army. And during the period of time, by the way, it's very much important, when I was in Gaza, I was like an advisor for Yitzhak Rabin.
Yeah.
He was that period of time the Minister of Defense, and I used to meet him oftenly when he came to Gaza to hear reports about what's going on. And he called me many times to his office in Tel Aviv in order to update him about the situation in Gaza. And it was very much a very important period of time for me. I was in all the meetings took place between Israeli prime ministers
And Yasser Arafat?
and Yasser Arafat. In all the meetings.
Wow.
I was at that from 1994 until 2000. I was in all the meetings, including the two meetings that took place between Ehud Barak, the Israeli Prime Minister and Minister of Defense that period of time, before he went to Camp David to the meeting with Arafat, under the auspices of the American President, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
You remember this?
Yes.
In the year 2000. I was, I remember even in the last meeting before Barak went to America, 2000, we met him in the entrance, in the military base in the entrance to the Gaza Strip. I was with Barak, I was his advisor, and we went inside the meeting, and Arafat came, and I was sitting beside Barak, and Saib Arikat, the late Saib Arikat, he was the head of the negotiations team in the Palestinian side, in the PLO. He said, if David is here, I want to be here. I was very much brave to do like this to Barak, not to agree. And he said, only David will be here.
Wow.
And of course, I translated the conversation, the discussion between them. But it was one-way, one-sided discussion, because Barak spoke all the time, and Arafat.
They're not really planning. They're just like, here's
there
my
was not
list of demands.
chemistry, no chemistry between Barak.
I want this and I want this.
Yeah, exactly. And Arafat. And afterwards, the meeting was closed. And Arafat refused to go to do the press conference with Barak after that, because he was very much angry at him. And I only recently was asked in a television interview in Israel about my experience with the late Arafat, and whether I believed before the opening of the Oslo process that Arafat is serious
about peace,
and he will come to terms with Israel, and they will have an agreement. And I said that in accordance with my information and my knowledge of Arafat, I don't think that he's the guy that Israel can sign a peace treaty with him. But I said at the same time that Israel must give it a chance. And we have to take this chance and to see whether there is a possibility. But after Rabin was assassinated, November 1995, I understood that there is no chance to come to any agreement with Yasser Arafat.
But
because,
is there a chance now, though, with the two-state solution where people are saying the same thing?
No, listen. Today I think this is something in the sky, two-state solution. After what happened the October 7th, in the area adjacent close to the Gaza Strip, and the massacre took place, the barbaric, inhuman massacre in which more than 1,200 people were killed, slaughtered, raped, women were raped, etc., etc. You know all the story.
Yes.
I think today to speak about two-state solution is an illusion. This is what the American administration are trying today to push. And this is something I cannot understand. After all what happened, they are still speaking about two-state solution now. And this is why I think that Netanyahu is very much just in rejecting the American proposals, the American ideas. You know, you have to understand, I'm telling you the truth out of my, experience. Today, to speak about two-state solution is something elusive. It's in the sky. It's illusion. Because, you know, there are Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria. You know, the Palestinian Authority headed by Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, is 88 years old. I mean, we can speak about it openly. This is the end, maybe the end of Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas as the head, the leader of the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority is very weak, is very corrupt, is inefficient. I mean, to say that the Palestinian Authority is going to deliver the goods for Israel in the Gaza Strip, this is something, it's not a dream, it's an illusion. It's something that Israel is totally rejecting. And I think that Netanyahu is doing the right thing in rejecting this offer. I'll tell you more than that. They are speaking about Gaza after the war in terms that there will be a foreign force, a foreign element that will take responsibility over Gaza in order to keep silence, to keep security, to preserve, to defend Gaza out of any, not to do any provocations or any aggression outside against Israel. This is again an illusion because, you know, you cannot get security by a third party. Security you can get by your own army, by your own military, but yourself, only yourself. And this is why I think that after the war, Israel has to have a security control over Gaza. And at the same time, I'm not speaking about other forces coming to Gaza. And when I'm speaking about the civilians in Gaza, I have the experience, you know, of 8 years in Gaza. And I know if there will be a military government in Gaza, an efficient military government, I mean, the military government can, I mean, through its influence, its control of the area, to have like local elements which will take responsibility for the civilian life, for the civil life, for the civilians, for the Palestinians inside Gaza. And this is going to work. I'll tell you frankly, I spoke today with one of the, from the Israeli Prime Minister's office. And I think, listen, I think that Israel is doing now a mistake, a very crucial mistake now in Gaza. And I'll tell you what. You know, in Gaza, we are now on the verge of entering Rafah and conquering and controlling the Philadelphia line, the border between Gaza and Egypt. I think, I told you beforehand, it was a mistake not to begin with conquering Philadelphia line and Rafah. And today, any military, operation in Rafah is a very complicated one because now we are speaking about more than 1 million refugee Palestinians, displaced Palestinians from the northern part of Gaza coming to Rafah area and to Philadelphia line. But this was a mistake. But in any case, I think another mistake is that today the IDF made a very great, operation in the northern part of Gaza. And the infrastructure of Hamas, the military terrorist infrastructure of Hamas in the north was destroyed. Was destroyed completely, almost completely. But now, the control over this area is not efficient by the IDF. Wow. And I think that Israel has to, the military, the IDF, has to declare a military government in the northern part of Gaza in order to control the area. and to finish with Hamas in the area.
So they just left it. They came in and
They left it. They
open.
kept it like as a hollow, how do you say, as a vacuum.
Yeah.
And, Hamas is entering inside
coming
again.
back.
They are coming back.
Wow.
And this is a disastrous scene, And this is something, I mean, it was a mistake taken by the IDF.
Wow.
Now, one of the main area which is very much important is Netzarim corridor.
Okay.
You have heard about
Yes.
the corridor? It's called Netzarim corridor because Netzarim was a settlement
Yeah.
very close to the Mediterranean Sea. I must tell you in this regard, I said it in the interview in one of the Israeli papers only last Friday. Netzarim was a settlement known very much because of its strategic position, location, very close to the Mediterranean. At the end of Netzarim corridor, to the west, to the sea. And it was very much known because one thing, I'll tell you something unbelievable. There, in the 5th century AC, yes, there was a Jewish synagogue in Gaza, very close to the sea.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be there hundreds of times. It was known before because of the mosaics.
Mosaics on the ground. Yeah.
We call it in Hebrew pseifas.
Yeah.
A mosaic on the ground, which one of the major scene in the mosaic, the most important scene, is David playing the violin,
the harp.
The harp,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. Playing the harp,
Wow.
and in order to know that this is the original David, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 letters in Hebrew. David, the letters Dalet, Vav, Yud, Dalet, David, yes, written on the top of the mosaic. And I used to bring many delegations from abroad, from America, from Europe, to see the synagogue. There was a Palestinian, he was responsible to guard, to protect the mosaic and the synagogue. And when the Intifada was erupted, the first Intifada, December 9th, 1987, we were afraid that this synagogue is going to be destroyed. Listen, because you have to understand that every Jewish biblical location in Gaza, automatically they destroyed it in order not to show that there is like relevance.
History.
Jewish history. In this area. I'll tell you more than that about the Jews in Gaza, but I'm coming back to the synagogue. We took the mosaic from the place it was and brought it to Netzarim, to the settlement of Netzarim. I still remember like a tent, in order to protect the mosaic from the sun, from the winds, from the rains, etc. And it was in Netzarim until the year, another big mistake by Israel, the year 2005. Exactly. That period of time, I was the advisor of Mufaz, Shaul Mufaz. He was the Minister of Defense. And Sharon took a decision and forced the government to agree and to approve his decision.
Wow.
And this is a big historic mistake taken by Sharon.
Yes.
What he did in 2005 is evacuation of all the Jews, all the settlements in Gaza, inside Gaza. I'm not speaking about a big number of Jews living there. It was around 8,000 Jews, basically living in the southern part of Gaza, in Gush Katif. This was the name of the area. Flourishing place, agriculture, very developed agriculture. You see land with all kind of vegetables, and they did really something great. I mean, they flourished the area, and they hired Palestinians. They took money, salary.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a benefit for the benefit of the Palestinians as well at the same time. But this decision taken by Sharon was, I think, a strategic mistake taken by Israel.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, in order to be very much clear, that the Jews inside Gaza, this is, you know, something that you have to preserve and keep in any circumstances. But to do it from one side, with no Palestinian side responsible.
They did it without an agreement. They just pulled
With
it
no
out.
agreement.
Right.
This was one-sided.
No saying you will have to keep your end of the bargain.
Exactly.
And we'll keep ours.
And this is, I think, a very strategic mistake taken by Ariel Sharon. You know, I'm not. I don't want to criticize him. He's
dead.
know,
Yeah.
he's dead, and he has the history in the army and what he did in Yom Kippur War and in the Six-Day War in 1967. But in any case, why I'm saying so, because after the decision of Ariel Sharon in 2005, the evacuation of all the settlers from Gaza, November 2005, the mosaic of the synagogue was brought to Rockefeller
they saved
Museum.
it.
They
That's
saved
good.
it in East Jerusalem. It's now in East Jerusalem.
Awesome.
And the David.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask
Please.
you this.
Yes.
Because you give so much information and it's so incredible. You've actually already answered this, but for Americans that are watching, sometimes we need it oversimplified. and you stated, you know, when October 7th happened, for the first couple of 2 or 3 weeks, there was support for Israel, and then all of a sudden we started seeing all of these protesters emerge. Specifically now our college campuses are overrun with kids who don't understand what they're chanting with, you know, from the river to the sea, all this. Explain why it is important for Americans and other people who are not of Jewish descent, they're not Palestinians, quote unquote, why it's important that they understand that they're supporting the wrong side and what it means for Hamas's purpose to not just take out Jews, but to take out, like you said, Zionists and everyone else. Like, why is it so important to be on the right side here?
I must tell you something very much important in this regard, that this was not what we have seen now in the universities, colleges in America, is not a new phenomenon.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you frankly, I was in America like 10 times during my time in the military, and after that in the Ministry of Defense. And I think one of the first time I came to America, I came to the state of Atlanta. It was like more 30 years ago. And I still remember this visit in Atlanta. I think I was in Emory University, I think, or Georgia Tech, I don't remember exactly the place, but I was hosted by the Jewish Students Organization in Atlanta. I was an officer, colonel from the army, from the IDF, and I had to speak in front of the Jewish students. But before I entered to the hall of the gathering of the students, the guy from the Jewish Association, he told me, listen, I must tell you that there are a lot of Arabs and Palestinians inside the room, and maybe they are going to make trouble for you, but we are, the Jews, we are going to control and to try to make no scandals. So I said, okay, what can I do? I entered inside. I mean, the minute I entered inside, I saw slogans and shouting. They shouted me slogans, and I began to speak about the situation. Listen, I must tell you that I'm not against Palestinians.
Yeah.
Really, I have Palestinian friends. And I think that they deserve honest life, and they deserve maybe even autonomy in the West Bank. And I'm very much close to Palestinians working in Abu Mazen's government. But they were shouting at me in the university, and after 15 minutes I had to stop the presentation, the lecture. It was very hard. So this is not a new phenomenon. But the fact that today, it's a very terrible situation nowadays in America, because you are right by saying they are protesting against Israel. They are saying from the sea to the river. And they don't understand what does it mean. What is, the implications, the significance, the meaning of what they are saying. It's only protest for the sake of protest. Now, you have to understand something very much important. This is what I want to tell you. We have something in common. We, the Jews, we believe in the same, I would say, I call it Jewish Christian heritage.
Yes.
this is like the basis of our common beliefs. We believe in the Lord.
Yes.
You know, and this is something which is very much common. We share the same, you know, ideology,
Yes.
the same beliefs, the beliefs on one Almighty God, the belief on equality, all the, you know, the valuable values, the values that we believe when we share together. And this is something common between us, and it's very much important to understand this and to share this with the people in America. I don't know the differences between the evangelists and, the Baptists, but maybe there are some similarities and some differences. But I mean, speaking about the main issue here, Palestine, you know, when we are speaking from the river to the sea, it's not only the biblical borders of the Promised Land. This is the Promised Land. This is the land of our forefathers. This is the land in which there was a Jewish independence. 2 times, this is the 3rd time of Jewish independence in the Promised Land. You know, in biblical times, you remember what happened here? You remember the exile 586 BC to Babylon, and the coming back, and all, you know, the song about on the rivers of Babylon. Don McLean, I think, is the singer. And afterwards, the period of time of the Maccabees, the Hashmonite dynasty. Told you, media is not far away from here, Modi'in. And after that, the exile, diaspora, coming back to the land of Israel, and the establishment, independence of Israel in 1948. This is, as I've told you before, the Promised Land. This is the land of our forefathers. You know, I must tell you another thing which will be maybe astonishing or surprising for you. If you are taking any single name of a Palestinian village in Judea and Samaria, and you dig a little bit in the name, what you are going to find? You are going to find the original Hebrew biblical names. It's really something unbelievable. Even Israelis are not very well informed. Listen, you are taking names. Jericho is in the Bible, Jericho. Anata, what is Anata? Anata is, it's in the area of Jerusalem. Anata is Anatot, the birthplace of the prophet Jeremiah. Exactly. You are taking Tekoa. What is Tekoa? Tekoa is Tekoa, the birthplace of the prophet Amos. Any single name you are taking of Palestinian village today, commemorating, preserving the ancient biblical Hebrew names. Even the word media, as I've told you before, media is Modi'in. Media, Modi'in. Now,
even Gaza. Gaza's in the Bible.
Gaza in the Bible, of course.
So they're
Gaza in the Bible and the story of Samson.
Yes, that's
You know,
right, the gates.
you know, and Goliath.
Gath.
Yeah, God. Every single name. Now, you know, I must tell you in this regard, I was the representative of the military in the Oslo Process, and we were in Cairo, meeting with Barak from the Palestinian side. And in one of the break of the talks, we were going to drink something and to speak, and I spoke with Barak, and I told him about the names. Don't listen, every name in the area, the Palestinian Authority is preserving the ancient Hebrew biblical names. Give me examples. And I gave him a lot of examples. It's not only these 3. Even Jib is Giv'on in the Bible. And he said to me after that, we are going to change all the names.
That's a change history, you know. They have no claim to.
But that's the beauty of this. No matter what the lies are, even the things that they have, even the names of their cities support the Hebrew claim to the land. The land belongs to Israel.
But you have to understand, I'm saying it not only to provoke the Palestinians. Not to resist against the Palestinians. I think that we have to take care of the Palestinians, to take care of their, dreams, etc., but not on the expense
of your life,
of the state of in our life here. Because listen, we are fighting here, listen carefully. I must tell you in this regard something on the strategic level, and this is very much important. You know, from time to time when I'm speaking on the basis of my military experience about the status, the situation of Israel in the area, the strategic situation, looking to our environment, looking to our area as a whole. We are targeted by many, enemies and many threats in the area, strategic threats. You know, I'm speaking about today Lebanon, Hezbollah in Lebanon, you know, a Shiite organization operating for the destruction of the state of Israel. The Biden administration has to understand this is not, you know, a minor, you know, organization with no, you know, bad intentions. This is an organization that would like to see at the end of the day the destruction, annihilation of the state of Israel. Now going to Syria, Iranian presence in Syria, Hezbollah presence in Syria. I'm coming to the Palestinian area, in the Palestinian Authority, Hamas elements in Judea and Samaria. And we can speak a lot about the Palestinian Authority as well. I'm coming to Gaza, controlled from June 2007 by Hamas. And Al-Jihad al-Islami, which is more virulent maybe than Hamas. And Al-Jihad al-Islami is what? It's not but a puppet of Iran in the Palestinian arena. And Hamas and Al-Jihad al-Islami are getting every year more than $300 billion from Iran. And you know, until 10 or more years ago, all the arms and ammunition and rockets and missiles used to come from where? From Iran. And I'm going to the south, the Houthis in Yemen, the Houthi tribes. And this is in one of the very most important strategic locations, the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, you know.
That's right.
And all the ships that are coming, and today they are controlling the area, they are shooting at the vessels, at the ships. And from time to time we hear about the United States and Britain taking, actions against the Houthis. And don't forget the big, major strategic threat to the survival, to the existence of the state of Israel, which is Iran and the plans to prepare, to develop at the end of the day, nuclear military capabilities. This is something very much important, and I'm sure the American administration are very much aware of this. To see that Iran is not reaching this, line, this target of having nuclear military capabilities. And I must tell you, in this respect, I hear time and again Netanyahu speaking that Israel won't allow Iran to reach this situation of having nuclear military capabilities. This, it's a very much understood. It's a danger to the survival of the state of Israel, and Israel cannot tolerate the fact that Iran will have nuclear military capabilities. So this is what I'm thinking from time to time, how Israel is maintaining, is trying to live in this kind of
this
threats,
atmosphere of
this
enemies all around them.
All around, and and when I'm speaking it's not only all around, all the fronts directed against Israel are active. They are not, silent. And you hear the voices, you hear the slogans, the declarations. They are not making any attempt to hide, to say. They are saying explicitly, publicly, the extermination, annihilation of the state of Israel and the Jewish people.
That's amazing. Thank you so much today. You've not only answered so many questions, but just hearing your expertise. Funny that people can try to argue facts as though it's opinion, but you can't argue that with you because you were there personally in front of all of that.
Yes, exactly.
And we have such a heart to express the truth so that people will hear the truth and stand for Israel. God's chosen people, God's chosen land. It's not about who wants it. It's already been chosen by God, and we have to defend and protect it. So we thank you for your time here.
Thank you,
explaining all that.
Colonel David Hacham.
I would like, yeah, you pronounce it perfectly. I would like to thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you are doing a great job. And hope to see you again.
Yes, sir.
We want to
Please
see you
come.
again
Please
soon.
come. Please
Yes, sir.
come.
Thank you.
Thank you.